the average provider doesn't have the bandwidth. I think what we have here with AI, with Gen AI, is a new building block. Their cost of labor keeps going up. Where's the relief valve?
Well, Joey, thanks for joining us. So can you just give us a quick background of yourself and in the industry, and then also a little overview of Prochant?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Joey Graham. I'm the CEO of Prochant. I've been in this industry for, 25 years or so now.
Okay.
I've been with Prochant now for about 11 years. So
Nice.
I joined in 2015. Really proud. We've 10x the company in that
Wow.
time. So it's been an incredible ride. Really proud of my team. Really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. My background is in home-based care. So I was. My father was a regional sales manager for a DME and infusion pharmacy when I was growing up.
Okay.
So I remember I grew up around the equipment. We had a lift chair in our living room. We had CPAPs in his trunk. We had an oxygen concentrator in our Florida room. So I really, grew up around the equipment, and then I joined that company right out of high school. Worked my way up the chain of command while I also got my master's, my MBA.
Yeah.
Eventually, I landed a job at Brightree as
Okay.
a senior consultant. So they put me on the road, traveled all over the country, working with providers of all shapes and sizes, different product mixes, payer mixes, geographies, and really opened my eyes to the wider industry. From there, my career path eventually took me to a client of Prochant, where I was the VP of Revenue Cycle. That company ended up being acquired by what is now Adapt Health. And so the founder of Prochant is a serial entrepreneur. He needed somebody to come in and run the company for him. So he brought me in as the general manager, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
It's been an insane ride.
Tell me about Prochant. What do you guys do? What's your specialty?
Yeah, we're a revenue cycle service. So we help our clients with intake, billing, and collections. We do that in a couple different ways. We're very custom in the way we approach it to meet the provider where they're at. So we're able to be flexible in the way that we craft our deals and craft our model. But essentially, we help providers, manage their revenue cycle, and we meet them where they need us too. We have a couple different models in the sense that we can do a end-to-end engagement where we can take on sort of full risk, and we get paid when they get paid type of situation. We also have a model that allows us to just kind of plug in the holes where the provider may have gaps, supplement their existing team. In fact, that's where a lot of providers start with us is, they're not ready to fully outsource, but they're open to it. They have a few open positions or they're growing. And so, we'll plug in a few resources, prove our worth, and then, grow from there.
But AI, of course, has been the buzzword. People are wanting to adopt, whether they even know where to start, right? So, kind of from where you sit in the revenue cycle space, what are they focused on right now as it relates to AI and automation?
Wow. I would say right now there's a hyper focus on the front office, or what we call intake. Right. I mean, we're here at MedTrade. There's probably a couple dozen AI intake vendors here at the show. Right. So, and it makes sense, right? Because the whole concept is if we can get a clean order in the door, then we don't have to deal with denials, rejections, appeals, all that stuff downstream. We can prevent that by taking a clean order right up front. So, I think it's right. And I think that is where the focus is today, is on the front office and on intake.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing with Prochant as far as how are you implementing AI? How are you implementing automation? What's been your approach?
Yeah, we announced in Q4 of last year our our AI platform called Pulse IQ.
Okay, yeah.
So Pulse IQ is essentially a suite of AI point solutions that we've sort of brought together and manage for our clients. And so they span intake, billing, and collections, right? So, we work with a couple partners on that. We've developed solutions in-house as well. We have proprietary technology that we use for workflow and analytics. So, we definitely are very, very much focused on being AI forward as a revenue cycle service. We definitely see that as an opportunity right now and something that the market badly needs, the average provider doesn't have the bandwidth or the capacity
That's right.
to manage multiple AI proof of concepts and then determining the best vendor and then bringing in the different vendors for the different solutions. It's just a lot, right? They want to take care of their patients, they want to take care of their referrals, they want to take care of their payers. And this is in some ways a pretty big distraction, but on the other hand, it's a necessity, right? Like the wind has shifted. And so these providers need to be thinking about AI, and it's right that they are. I think that's where the revenue cycle services come into play,
Right.
because we are able to give essentially the middle market and the smaller providers access to the high-end AI tools that right now only the largest players can really afford to deploy
Right.
and at scale and achieve the results that we're all looking to achieve,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
More efficiency, higher accuracy, higher speed.
Right.
All these things are we're all looking to achieve,
Yeah.
but it's a big ask for a provider that's barely able to keep up with the day to day. Never mind, managing all these different projects.
No, that's such a great point. So what do you think are kind of the red flags when you're like trying to implement a new AI service or automate something? Is there anything that kind of sticks out of like, maybe we should avoid this?
I would say, I think one of the biggest red flags I see is where companies are looking to automate existing workflows, right? I think what we have here with AI, with Gen AI, is a new building block. And it's going to require a new approach to the workflow to really drive the success and the outcomes that providers want.
Right.
So when you have a vendor who's trying to sell you on the idea that we're going to take your existing process and automate it, that should be a red flag, right? Because when you automate a broken process, and I'm not saying everybody's process is broken, but I am saying that most people do not have an optimized process.
Right.
And they haven't sort of gone back to the drawing board and really rethought the workflow from the ground up, leveraging this new building block.
Yeah.
So I would definitely caution providers before they go automate existing workflows. I think the real win here is to build new workflows, leveraging this new building block, leveraging this new technology.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point, and really, it's really important for us that we take a consultative approach, right, when we're looking at a workflow. Just like what you're saying, it's, hey, yeah, okay, I know you've been doing it that way and you want to make it more efficient. Like I just literally had a conversation just now with somebody and they were using a Google Sheet as like an in-between before it got into their main system. And I'm like, do you need the Google Sheet? And they're like, well, that's just how we've done it. I'm like, what if you didn't have to do it that way? What if you could just skip it? And they were like, oh, I didn't think about that, But sometimes when you take the human element out of it, if they're like, well, I guess if a human doesn't need to see this anymore, if it can just go straight into our main system or ERP or whatever, then I don't need, that you can cut some stuff out, right? You can make it more efficient. So I think that's a great mindset to have. What do you think a well-run HME looks like in like 5 to 10 years? What do they look like compared to, one with a slim margin or we're struggling to make it?
Yeah. And I think I have a unique perspective in this because I've actually got proximity to some of the largest players in the market. And so I can actually kind of see where this is headed, right?
Yeah.
Because there are players that have big budgets and have been working these projects.
Right.
And they have been rebuilding their workflow from the ground up. And I guess that's where I'd start is, right? We're going to see a new workflow emerge in HME that's going to go beyond the current 25 steps to payment from referral to payment, that we currently have, which includes 4 or 5 double, triple, quadruple checks of the exact same work that's already been checked once. I think that we're going to see, first off, really improve cycle times on the front office, right? So the time to fill a referral, right? I think that's going to go down from multiple days to hopefully within one, even maybe less than 1 day. Right. I think that's one of the big things I expect to see is that shift from right now it takes days. We're now moving into taking hours, and soon we're moving to near real time. Right. That's where the AI is going to
It's
help
almost
us get.
instantaneous now.
So those cycle times on the front office will come down, but at the same time, the quality of the output will go up.
Yeah.
And so the result of that will be cleaner orders that flow into billings,
Right.
which will in turn result in cleaner claims going out the door
Right.
and fewer denials downstream. So we should see this investment in the front office start to pay off with not needing as many resources working the mid office and the back office. I also think that we will see tools expand beyond just intake. So, right now there's a tremendous amount of effort and intake, as we mentioned, but I believe that, and I know because we're developing these tools at Prochant that will, for instance, scrub claims. That's where we're starting, right? So an AI tool that will scrub claims before they ever get sent to the payer, and identify those claims that are of a high probability of denial.
Absolutely.
Right. And if that is the case, then let's go ahead and put it on hold and have a human look at it to see what's going on with this claim. How can we fix this before we send out that first claim? Because once you send a claim out, once you lobby that claim out over the fence, now you're dealing with the back office. You're dealing with denials and appeals and all that stuff, right? So let's focus on getting it right, getting that claim out the door clean. Then when we get to the back office, we'll see tools there as well, right? We're going to see automated denial resolution for simple denials. We'll see humans focused on exceptions, on relationships, on those complex cases, those payer nuances. But the routine flows should be mostly automated.
I agree.
Right? So I think that we will see our best people are moved from this role of like paper pusher to a role of truly working the high value work, the exceptions, the complex cases that require a human touch.
Yeah. So what do you say to those that are like, well, really this is just a method to cut costs at the end of the day, like implementing AI and automation, and because I love your perspective, that's our perspective too, is it's we're not here to replace your people, we're here to remove the chaos that they manage, right?
I think the cost cutting angle is a little short-sighted. I certainly that's one of the driving factors in this, right? I think providers right now are being squeezed like never before.
And it's reasonable that they would want to cut costs, right?
Exactly. And they have to. Like, what else are they going to do? Their reimbursement keeps coming down.
That's right.
Their cost of goods keeps coming up. Their cost of labor keeps going up. Where's the relief valve? Right. So obviously, cost cutting is an important symptom, but it's not the true thing that we're looking to accomplish with this, right? That is the outcomes. That is the turnaround times improving. When you improve these turnaround times, you will find that you get more referrals because you're easier to work with now for the doctor, right? And they don't have to worry if they send you an order that it's going to go a week and nobody's ever going to call the patient, and then they're going to get a call back from that's what they don't want. So I think this is really going to transform the way that we do business. It's going to shift the whole workflow. And efficiency will be part of it. Cost cutting will be part of it. But it's so much more than that.